की जय।
Nidai Go Premanande.
हरि हरि
हरि हरि
बोल।
बोल।
All glories assembled devotees. All glories assembled devotees. Glories assembled. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम
ओम
नमो
नमो भगवते
भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 10, Departure of Lord Krishna for the Dwaraka. Today's verses 23, 24, and 25. Verse 23. Sa va ayam
yat padam atra
Rayo
Surayo
Videndriya Ujjida
Nirjida
Madarishwanaha
Madarishwanaha
Pashyandi
Pashyanti
Bhakti
Bhakti
युक्त
Utkalida
Utkalida
Amalatmana
Amanatmana
Nanu
नानु
Esha
Esha
Tattvam
Tattvam
Parimashtum
Parimartum
Gati
Arhadi
Savayam Yatpadamatra Suryo
सभा अयं यत्पादमत्र सूरयो
Asurayo
Nirjidamadarishna
जितेन्द्रियार्जितमादरश्विना
Bhakti Utkalidatmanatmana
पश्यन्ति भक्तोत्कलितात्मना
Nanvesha Sattvam Parimashtumarhati
अन्वेषसत्त्वं परिमार्ष्टुमर्हति
Ayam Yatpadamatra Suryo
सभा अयं यदपद्ममत्र सूरयो
Madarishwanaha
जितेन्द्रियार्जितमादरश्विनः
Bhakti Utkalidatmanatmana
पश्यन्ति भक्तोत्कलितमात्मना
Sattvam Parimashtumarhati
अन्वेषसत्त्वं परिमार्ष्टुमर्हति
Ayam Yatpadamatra Suryo
सभा अयं यत्पदमत्र सूरयो
Indriya Nirjida Madarishwanaha
जितेन्द्रियार्जितमादरश्विनः
Bhakti Utkalidatmanatmana
पश्यन्ति भक्तोत्कलितमात्मना
Parimashtumarhati
अन्वेषसत्त्वं परिमार्ष्टुमर्हति।
Sarjamati.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। सभा अयं यत्पदमत्र सूरयो जितेन्द्रिया निर्जितम् आदरश्विनः पश्यन्ति भक्तोत्कलितामलात्मना नन्वेष सत्त्वं परिमार्ष्टुमर्हति। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Manohari Maji.
Hare Krishna. Sava ayam yat padamatra suryo jidendriya nirjita madarishwanaha pashyanti bhakti utkalidatmanatmana nanesha sattvam parimashtumarhati. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes. Snigdha Maji.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। सवा अयं यत् पदमत्र सूरयो जितेन्द्रिय निर्जित मातरिश्चनः पश्यन्ति भक्त्युत्कलितमलात्मना नन्वेष सत्वं परिमाष्टुर्मर्हति।
Right.
May I read, Prabhu?
Yes, please.
Synonyms: Saha, he; Vai, by providence; Ayam, this; Yat, that which; Padam, atra, here is the same personality of Godhead Sri Krishna; Surayah, great devotees; Jitendriyah, who have overcome the influence of the senses; Nirjita, thoroughly controlled; Matariswanaha, life; Pasyanti, can see; Bhakti, by dint of devotional service; Utkalita, developed; Amalatmana, those whose minds are thoroughly cleansed; Nanu Esha, certainly by this only; Sattvam, existence; Parimashtum, for purifying the mind completely; Arhati, deserve. Translation: here is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose transcendental form is experienced by the great devotees who are completely cleansed of material consciousness by dint of rigid devotional service and full control of life and the senses, and that is the only way to purify existence. Purport: by His divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. As it is stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord can be known in his real nature by dint of pure devotional service only. So it is stated here that only the great devotees of the Lord who are able to clear the mind of all material dust by rigid devotional service can experience the Lord as he is. Jitendriya means one who has full control over the senses. The senses are active part of the body and their activities cannot be stopped. The artificial means of the yogic process to make the senses inactive has proved to be object failure. Even in the case of great yogis like Vishwamitra Muni controlled the senses by yogic trance, but when he happened to meet Menaka, a heavenly society woman, he became a victim of sex, and the artificial way of controlling the senses failed. But in the case of pure devotee, the senses are not at all artificially stopped from doing anything, but they are given different good engagements. When the senses are engaged in more attractive activities, there is no chance of their being attracted by any inferior engagements. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the senses can be controlled by the better engagements, devotional service, necessities, purifying the senses, or engaging them in the activities of devotional service. Devotional service is not inaction. Anything done in the service of the Lord become at once purified of its material nature. The material conception is due to ignorance only. There is nothing beyond Vasudeva. The Vasudeva conception gradually develops in the heart of the learned after a prolonged acceleration of the receptive organs. But the process ends in the knowledge of accepting Vasudeva as in all in all. In the case of devotional service, this very same method is accepted from the very beginning, and by the grace of the Lord, all factual knowledge becomes revealed in the heart of a devotee due to direction by the Lord from within. Therefore, controlling the senses by devotional service is the only and easiest mean. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, you are mute, I think.
I'm not. Sorry. Sa,
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 Va,
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 Ayam,
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 Sakhi,
Sagi,
Saki,
Anugida,
Anugida,
Anugita, Anugida,
Satkado,
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 Vedeshu,
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 Yeshu,
Guhyeshu,
Ya,
cha
Nityavadibhi
guhyavadibihi
Devadivi
ya
Eka
eka
Ika
Cho
isho
Jagat
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 Ya
atma
Atmanidaya
Atmanidaya
Srijadi
trijati
Avati
avadi
Abati
Ki
ati
Ati
na
Na
Tatra
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 Sajjade
sajjate
Sajjati
Sajjate
Savayam Saki Anugida Satkado
savayam
Savayam
Abhayam
Sakyanugita
Satyayam
Satkado
tado
Tatkato
Yeshu Guhyeshu Cha Guhyavadibi
vedeshu
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 guhyeshu
Guhyeshu
cha
Guhyeshu
Jaguhyavadivi
Guhyabadihi
guhyavadibihi
Ya Eka Isho Jagadatmalilaya
ya
Ya
eka
Ega
isho
Isho
Aisho
Jagadatma
Jagatma
Leelaya
Leela
Sajidi Avati Attina Tatra Sajjade
srejati
Sujata
avati
Ubati
Sujatavatyatina
atina
Na
Tatra
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 Sajjate
Sajjati
sajjate
Savayam Saki Anugida Satkadho
Savayam
Ayam
Sakyanugita
Satyayam
Satkado
Tatkato
satyayam
Yeshu Guhyeshu Cha Guhyavadibi
vedeshu
Vedeshu
guhyeshu cha
Guhyeshu
Guhyabadihi
Jaguhyavadivi
guhyavadibihi
Ya Ega Isho Jagadatmalilaya
Ya
ya
Ega
Aiko
eka
Isho
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 Jagadatma
Jagatma
Leelaya
Leela
jagatma
Avatyattina Tatra Sajjade
srejati avati atina
Sujatavatyatina Tatra
tatra
Sajjate
sajjate
Sava Ayam Saki Anugida Satkadho
Savayam
savayam
Sakyanugita
sakyanugita
Satkado
satkado
Guhyeshu Cha Veda Guhyavi
vedeshu
Vedeshu
guhyeshu
Guhyeshu
cha
Jaguhyavadivi
guhyavadibihi
Ya Ega Isho Jagadatmalilaya
ya
Ya
eka
Ega
isho
Isho Jagadatma
jagadatma
Leelaya
lilaya
Jadi Avatyattina Tatra Sajjade
jadi avati
Sujatavatyatina
artina
Tatra
tatra
Na
Sajjate
Tatra
sajjate
Sajjati
Sarjamadi
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय स वा अयं सख्यनु गीत सत्कदो वेदेषु गुह्येषु च गुह्यवादिभिः य एग ईशो जगदात्म लीलया सृजत्यवत्यत्य न तत्र सज्जते। हरे कृष्णा।
Krishna. Yes, Manohari Maji.
Sava ayam sagi anugida satkado vedeshu guhyeshu cha guhyavadibihi ya ega isho jagadatma lilaya sajadi avati adina tatra sajjade.
Nigda Maji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sava Ayam Sakya No Gita Satkato Vedeshu Guhyeshu Cha Guhyavadibhihi Ya Eka Isho Jagadatma Leelaya Srujatyabhyati Na Tatra Sajyate.
Yes, Shri Maji.
हरे कृष्ण ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय तवायं सख्यनुगीतसत्कथो वेदेषु गुह्येषु च गुह्यवादिभिः य एक ईशो जगदात्मलीलया सृजत्यवत्यत्ति न तत्र सज्जते हरे कृष्ण
Krishna. Manohari Maji.
Hare Krishna. Synonymous Saha, he, why, also, I am this. Sagi, O my friend, Anugida described Satkadaha, the excellent pastimes, Vedeshu in the Vedic literatures, Guhyeshu confidentially, Cha as also Guhyavadibihi by the confidential devotees, Ya one who, Egaha one only, Ishaha, the supreme controller, Jagat of the complete creation, Atma, supersoul, Leelaya, by manifestation of pastimes, Srajati creates, Avadi Adi also maintains and annihilates, Na never, Tatra there, Sajjade becomes attached to it. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Oh dear friends, here is that very personality of Godhead whose attractive and confidential pastimes are described in the confidential parts of Vedic literature by his great devotees. It is he only who creates, maintains, and annihilates the material world and yet remains unaffected. Purport. As it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, all the Vedic literatures are glorifying the greatness of Lord Sri Krishna. Here it is confirmed in the Bhagavatam also. The Vedas are expanded by many branches and sub-branches by great devotees and empowered incarnations of the Lord like Vyasa, Narada, Sukadeva Goswami, the Kumaras, Kapila, Prahlada, Janaka, Vali, and Yamaraja. But in the Srimad Bhagavatam, especially the confidential parts of his activities are described by the confidential devotee Sukadeva Goswami. In the Vedanta Sutras or Upanishads, there is only a hint of the confidential parts of his pastimes. In such Vedic literatures as the Upanishads, the Lord has expressively been distinguished from the mundane conception of his existence, his identity being fully spiritual. His form, name, quality, and paraphernalia, etc., have been elaborately distinguished from matter, and therefore he is sometimes misunderstood by less intelligent persons as impersonal. But factually, he is the Supreme Person, Bhagavan, and he is partially represented as Paramatma or impersonal Brahman. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, verse 25. Yada
Yada
hi
him
dharmena
adharmena
samodiyo
samodiyo
Yada
nriba
तथा
hi
jivadi
tatra
tatra
esha
esha
एषा
hi
हि
ye
tvada
satvada
सत्वदा
kila
किल
te
datte
tam
bhagam
yam
satyam
सत्य
udam
ridam
daya
dayam
Yashu
yasto
avaya
bhavaya
rupani
rubani
Rupani
dadat
dadat
दद
ye
yuge
युगे
ye
yuge
Yugi
यदा ह्यधर्मेण तमोदियो नृपा
yada
यदा
Yada
हि धर्मेण
Dharmena
तमोधियो
Tamodhyo
नृपा
Nripa
वन्ति तत्रैष हि सत्त्वदः किल
जीवन्ति
jivanti
Jivanti
तत्रैष हि
Tatresha
tatraisahi
सत्त्वदा
Hi
किल
Sattvasaha
sattvasaha
Gilaha
पदं सत्यवृतं दयां यशो
datte
दत्ते
bhagam
Datte
भगं
Bhagam
सत्यमृतं
Satyamritam
दयामयम्
Dayam
dayam yaso
Yasho
वायुरूपाणि ददाद्युगे युगे
bhavaya
भवाय
Bhavaya
rupani
Rupani
रूपाणि
Dadha
ददत्
dadad
युगे
Yuge
yuge
युगे
Yuge
yuge
ह्यधर्मेण तमोदियो नृपा
yada hi
हि
adharmena
धर्मेण
Dharmena
तमोधियो
tamodhiyo
Tamodhyo
नृपा
nripa
Nripa
तत्रैष हि सत्त्वदः किल
jivanti
जीवन्ति
Jivanti
तत्रैष
Tatresha
हि
Hi
tatraisahi
सत्त्वदा
Sattvasaha
किल
sattvasaha
Gilaha
तत्ते भगं सत्यमृतं दयां यशो
Tate
दत्ते
Bhagam
भगं
Bhagam
Satyam
सत्यमृतं
Ritam
Satyamritam
Dayam
दयामयम्
Dayam
Yasho
Yasho
रूपा
Yesho
भवानि रूपाणि ददद्युगे युगे
Bhavaya
भवाय
Rupani
Vayurupani
रूपाणि
Dadha
ददत्
Dadad
युगे
Yuge
Yuge
युगे
Yuge
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 ह्यधर्मेण तमोधियो नृपा
Yada hi
यदा हि
adharmena
धर्मेण
tamodhiyo
तमोधियो नृपा
nripa
वन्दि तत्रैष हि सत्त्वदः किल
Jivanti
जीवन्ति तत्रैष हि
tatraisahi
सत्त्वदा
sattvasaha
किल
kila
तत्ते भगं सत्यमृतं दयां यशो
Tate
दत्ते
Bhagam
भगं
Satyam
सत्यमृतं
Ritam
दयां यशो
Dayam Yasho
रूपाणि ददद्युगे युगे
Bhavaya
भवाय रूपाणि
Rupani
Vayurupani
ददत्
Dadha
युगे
Dadad
Yuge
युगे
Yuge
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 आदि
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय यदा हि धर्मेण तमोधियो नृपा जीवन्ति तत्रैष हि सत्त्वदा किल दत्ते भगं सत्यमृतं दयां यशो भवाय रूपाणि तदत् युगे युगे हरे कृष्णा
हरे कृष्ण जय श्रीमाजी
हरे कृष्ण प्रभुजी ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय यदा ह्यधर्मेण तमोधियो नृपा जीवन्ति तत्रैष हि सत्त्वतः किल धत्ते भगं सत्यमृतं दयां यशो भवाय रूपाणि दधत्युगे युगे हरे कृष्ण
मनोहरि माजी
Hare Krishna. Yada hi adharmena tamodiyo nriba jivanti tadresha hi sattvada kila. Datte bhagam satyam ridam dayam yasho bhavaya rubani datad yuge yuge. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Sigamaji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु ओं नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय यदा ह्यधर्मेण तमो धियो नृपा युवन्ति तत्रेष हि सत्त्वतः किलः धत्ते भगं सत्यमृतं दया यशो भवाय रूपाणि दधद्युगे युगे. May I read, Prabhuji? Synonyms: yada, whenever, he, assuredly, adharmena, against the principle of God's will, tama, dhiya, person in the lowest material modes, napaha, kings and nrupaha, kings and administrators, jivanti, live like animals, tatra, thereupon, esha, he only, sattvataha, transcendental, kila, certainly, dhati, is manifested, bhagam, supreme power, satyam, truth, ritam, positiveness, dayam, mercy, yasha, wonderful activities, bhavaya, for the maintenance, rupani, in various forms, dadhat, manifested, yuge, different periods, yuge, and ages. Translation: whenever there are kings and administrators living like animals in the lowest mode of existence, the Lord in his transcendental form manifests his supreme power, the truth positive source special mercy to the faithful, performs wonderful activities and manifests various transcendental forms as is necessary in different periods and ages. Purport: by his divine grace, ऐसी भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय. As mentioned above, the cosmic creation is the property of the Supreme Lord. This is the basic philosophy of Ishopanishad. Everything is the property of the Supreme Being. No one should encroach upon the property of the Supreme Lord. One should accept only what is kindly awarded by Him. Therefore, the earth or any other planet or universe is the absolute property of the Lord. The living beings are certainly His parts and parcels or sons, and thus every one of them has a right to live at the mercy of the Lord to execute his prescribed work. No one, therefore, can encroach upon the right of another individual man or animal without being so sanctioned by the Lord. The king or the administrator is the representative of the Lord to look after the management of the Lord's will. He must therefore be a recognized person like Maharaj, Yudhishthir, or Parikshit. Such kings have full responsibility and knowledge from authorities about the administration of the world. But at times, due to the influence of the ignorance mode of material nature, tamaguna, the lowest of the material modes, kings and administrators come into power without knowledge and responsibility, and such foolish administrators live like animals for sake of their own personal interest. The result is that the whole atmosphere becomes surcharged with anarchy and vicious elements, nepotism, bravery, cheating, aggression, epidemics, war, and similar other disturbing features become prominent in human society. And the devotees of the Lord or the faithful are persecuted by all means. All these symptoms indicate the time of an incarnation of the Lord to re-establish the principles of religion and to vanquish the maladministrators. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. The Lord then appears in his transcendental form without any change of material qualities. He descends just to keep the state of his creation in a normal condition. The normal condition is that the Lord has provided each and every planet with all the needs of the nature living beings. They can happily live and execute their predestined occupations to attain salvation at the end, following the rules and regulations mentioned in the revealed scripture. The material world is created to satisfy the whims of the Nitya Badha or everlasting conditioned soul, just as naughty boys are provided with playing cradles, otherwise there was no need of the material world. But when they become intoxicated with the power of material science to exploit the resources unlawfully without the sanction of the Lord, and that also only for sense gratification, there is necessity of Lord's incarnation to chastise the rebellious and to protect the faithful. When he descends, he exhibits superhuman acts just to prove his supreme right, and materialistic like Ravana, Hiranyakasipu, and Kamsa are sufficiently punished. He acts in a manner which no one can imitate. For example, the Lord, when he appeared as Rama, breathed in the Indian Ocean. When he appeared as Krishna, from his very childhood, he showed superhuman activities by killing Putana, Aghasur, Sakatasur, Kaliya, etc. And then his maternal uncle Kamsa. When he was at Dwarka, he married 16,108 queens, and all of them were blessed with a sufficient number of children. The sum total of his personal family members amounted to be 1 lakh, popularly known as the Jaduvansam. And again, during his lifetime, he managed to vanquish them all. He is famous as the Govardhan Dhari Hari, because he lifted at the age of only 7 the hill known as Govardhan. The Lord killed many undesirable kings in his time, and as a Kshatriya, he fought chivalrously. He is famous as Asamordhava, unparalleled. No one is equal to or greater than him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmedidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthavidam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamahyam Dadadi Swapadantigam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Udavadagamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarajadam Sagana Raghunathanvidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadudam Parijana Saidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Shivishadamidamsa. Now, He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagalpade Gobesha Goviga Kanda Radha Kanda Namastude. Taganjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhani Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Savayam Yat Padamatra Sureyo Jitendriya Nirjida Matarishwanam Pashyanti Bhakti Utkalida Amalatmanam Anvesha Sattvam Parimashtumartadi. Here is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead whose transcendental form is experienced by the great devotees who are completely cleansed of material consciousness by dint of rigid devotional service and full control of life and the senses. And that is the only way to purify existence. Hare Krishna, this is a beautiful glorification of the Kaurava Mataji's. It is said in the beginning itself that their glorification is sweeter than the Vedic chants of the Brahmanas. So the knowledgeable ladies are there, and they are fully aware of Krishna. This means Krishna knowledge. One who is in possession of Krishna knowledge, one who has full, complete knowledge of Krishna Tattva, is eligible to be Guru. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's findings, when his conclusion, I say, is very clearly states that, how is it? Famous verse you say? Means there is no distinction between Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, etc. Only a person who is well versed in Krishna consciousness can be a guru. That is Chaitanya Charitamrita. Forgetting the verse. It is quoted by Srila Prabhupada in chapter number verse 8 of Bhagavad Gita. Akiba vipra kibanyasi kena sudraya ye Krishna tattva veta se guru haya. Kiba vipra kibanyasi shudra kenenaya. It does not matter whether a person is Vipra, learned scholar in Vedic wisdom, or is born in a law family, or is in a renounced order of life. If he is master of science of Krishna, he is a perfect and bona fide spiritual master. So that is given there. So here, the Matajis, they are showing their intelligence and wisdom by understanding Krishna perfectly. And in the previous verses, we have seen how is the personality of Godhead. He alone existed before creation. He existed after devastation. And he's the supreme Lord of all living beings, 84 lakhs. And then during the time of creation, he is giving names and forms to various living entities, which means to say that he is following the Prakriti. And Prakriti means he is not actually following the Prakriti. He instigates Prakriti to produce forms and names. We know that the external energy is instigated or agitated by Krishna by his glands, and then this Mahatattva is stimulated, and the gunas are also stimulated, and then finally it produces various forms and names, and then into these forms the living entities are entered. They placed in these forms according to the previous karma. So this is what Krishna does during the time of creation. And before the creation, he gives the Shastras also. He gives the Shastras, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Vedas, Puranas, everything, so that these conditioned souls who are now in the material world and in the material bodies can come out of it by using the Shastras so compassionately provided by Krishna. So this is the compassion of Krishna. He is so merciful to fallen souls. Somehow or other, he wants them to come out of this material world and come back to him as they are parts and parcels of Krishna. So Bhagavad Gita is actually the guiding principle of all human beings. But what happens is that we are in the spell of Maya. We are ignorant of Bhagavad Gita, nor do we evince any interest to study the scriptures, even though it is available, and there are also gurus and acharyas who are propagating these scriptures. That is our misfortune. But Krishna He's so merciful that sometimes he comes down himself to bestow devotion into these devotionless people, which is given in this verse 23. Sa eva vayam yat padamata surya jidendriya nirjidamatharishuna. So the problem with the living entities is that they don't have sense control. Means we don't have sense control. If we are to enter the spiritual life, or if you want to lead a spiritual life, the very first thing that is required is sense control. Without sense control, we will not be able to advance nicely in spirituality. There may be some show of advancement, but ultimately, when we are not able to control our senses, we remain as a pretenders only. 3.6 very clearly says, Karma indriyani samyamya yaste manasasman indriyartha vimoodatma. Indriyartha vimoodatma. What is his name?
Mithyachara sauchyate.
Mithyachara sauchyate. So basically, I am a mithyachara. We may say, we may make a show of controlling our senses, karma indriya and all that. But since our mind and other senses are not in control, we are always dwelling on sense objects, and we are not able to really make any progress in spiritual life. So sense control precedes, or sense control requires control. Means the senses are actually dependent on life affairs, that we know, because if senses act, it needs energy, and energy is supplied by life affairs. Is called Matarishvana. Matarishvana is life affairs. So you have to, Durjita Matarishvana means completely controlled life affairs. If the life affairs is controlled, then the senses are controlled. And when the senses are controlled, then we can use our intelligence and mind and intelligence, apply our mind and intelligence to study the scriptures, and then render service and advance. So this is the one process of the yoga process of controlling the airs, life airs, by the process of shamadama, ashta process. But this is always not very successful. This is actually a mechanical means. There is no guarantee that this method will succeed. The only sure method that can succeed is devotion service. Bhakti ulkalida amalatmana. Through unstinted, undiluted devotion, then only we can control the senses perfectly. Otherwise, there is always a danger of falling down, like in the case of Vishwamitra. Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in this purport. So when through devotion service, says Pashyandi Bhakti Ukkalida Malatmana. Pashyandi is Vishwan Chakravarti says it is in past, it's in present tense. That means the sages purify the devotees, the devotee sages, they can always see the pastimes of Krishna. He goes from Kathopanishad says, Drishyade tu Angreya Buddhya. The Lord is seen by eager intelligence. So, Lord, we can continuously see Lord through the purified senses, through the purified mind, through the purified intelligence, purified by devotional service to Krishna. And since it is a continuous process, is Nitya's Leela, Brahma also says, is also Paradhande Sabuddhyada Gopavaisho me Purusha Parastat Avirbhavuva. This is Gopala Tapani Punishat. Brahma says Ada Prarardhante. Parardha. There are Brahma's life, as we know, is divided into two parardhas. First half and second half. So Ada Paradhadyande Ande. In the end of half of my life, after half of my life, Sabuddhida Gopavesho, he perceived Krishna was where he appeared before me in the dress of a cowherd. Purusha Parastat Abhibhavuva. Purusha means absolute person. Abhibhavuva, he appeared before me in Gopavesho, in the dress of a cowherd boy. So it is also said in Brahma Samhita that Krishna appeared at the beginning of creation to Brahma, and Brahma praised him. So that is why how Krishna is formed. First he sends the Shastras, and then he comes down personally himself. And then he takes his conditioned souls and puts them in the right path of devotion service by understanding Shastras, which emphasizes that Vasudeva is all in all. Which is a verse, Sridhamaji? Bhunam Janmanamande.
Jnanavanmam prapadante Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha.
Life, Vasudeva is all in all. He is a Brahman, he is a Paramatma, and he is a Bhagavan.
Bhagwan, yes.
So if you are glued on to Vasudeva, attached to Vasudeva, then your lower tastes of sense gratification will slowly be overcome by developing a superior taste. Bhagavad Gita states so very firmly. Which one? Which verse? Second chapter, 59, I think, 58, 59. Param Drishtvā Nivartade.
Yes, Prabhuji.
And what is it? What is the full verse?
I also forget.
No, it is 58, I think. Yes. Vishaya Vinivartande Nirahayana
Niraharcha dehena rasavarcha rasopasya param društva nibartate.
Yes, we may restrict the sense enjoyment, but the taste of sense enjoyment will always be there. It lingers always. This taste, this vasana for taste for sense enjoyment has to be eradicated completely. And this can be eradicated completely when you develop a taste for Krishna. So the superior taste is Vasudeva only. Inferior taste is sense gratification. So if we somehow or other can develop the taste of Vasudeva, which unfortunately we are not able to do now. Of course, some of you may have done that, be able to do that, or achieve that state also. Like Srila Prabhupada speaks of Mataji, Yamuna Mataji. He often said that Mataji, Yamuna Mataji is the Bhava state. What is our spiritual level can be understood only by our spiritual master, who is much above us. So only Acharya like Srila Prabhupada, who is a Disha Guru, he can only know what is the spiritual or level of his disciples. Unfortunately, the present situation is gone. The disciples have no way of assessing the spiritual realization, the realization level of the so-called gurus. And GBC does not give any guarantee at all. They only say is that their sadhana is good, their behavior is good, and they have been preaching well. These are the things. But it is no guarantee to clearly point out or clearly evaluate the spiritual standing of that aspirant guru. This can be done only by his predecessor guru only. Only a guru can really assess and determine the spiritual qualities of his disciple. But unfortunately, that system is not here now. And the GBC does not take any responsibility of this. And ultimately, sometimes the devotees make a wrong choice of gurus, and it's very dangerous, and the spiritual life is put into so much danger and a miserable condition. So now this FDG, that's a female Disha Guru issues raging in ISKCON now. I don't know how whether you are aware of this. Just today I had a chat with Meta AI on this issue. I'll post in the group. You can kindly go through it. This is a very hot issue now, currently in ISKCON. So verse 24 says, Savayam Sakyu Anugida Satkado Vedeshu Guhyeshu Cha Guhyavadivi Ya Ega Isho Jagatmadilaya Srijadi Avatyatha Ati Nadatta Sajjade. Dear friends, here is that very personality of Godhead whose attractive and confidential pastimes are described in the confidential parts of Vedic literatures by his great devotees. It is he only who creates, maintains, and annihilates the material world and yet remains unaffected. So the Kaurava ladies are now looking at Krishna now. Actually, they are seeing Krishna and they're telling each other, so this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is whom all the Shastras are talking confidentially about. How this Supreme Personality, how to, it's so difficult and so very, very difficult to realize such a personality. But now he's freely walking amidst us. See how fortunate we are actually. Krishna is present before us. He's amidst us. He's walking with us. He's talking with us. So only the real fortunate can really understand their great fortune. Most of them do not realize the greatness of Krishna. They evaluate him so many. He's a great person. He's a mystic yogi, and so many things. He's a king, and he's a very good teacher. All those things. People may understand Krishna in different ways, but only very few can really understand that he's a supreme personality of Godhead. And this Kaurava Matajis are very fortunate that they can really understand who Krishna is. So his Leela, this confidentiality and these parts are explained by his confidential devotees like Vedavyas, Shukdev Goswami, Vatmigi, sages like Vatmigi, Vedavyas, Shukdev Goswami. This is basically mostly in Srimad Bhagavatam, Vishnu Puranas. In Upanishads, there is no direct explanation of Krishna or his forms and names, his pastimes. There is always a reference to Supreme Personality only. And who is a Supreme Personality, what should be his qualities and what is his activities and what is his activities. These are explained in Upanishads, but not in detail of his powers, his pastimes, his names and his forms, personal aspects. That is not explained in Upanishads. So we have to understand that, ladies are saying, we have to understand he is a person who is sitting, he creates, he maintains, and he destroys also, but is not attached to what he has created. When the created material world, Krishna, he is not at all attached to it. It is done for the benefit of some and done by someone under his instruction. He is not directly involved in creation. That we know. He's only monitoring everything. Everything is done by his energies. So, Kara ladies are telling that only confidential devotees can really understand Krishna. And the next.
Hare
Yes.
Krishna Prabhuji. In chapter 4, Namang Karmani Lipyanti Name Karma Phalesbraha.
Yes. He starts at 13, no?
Yes.
Maya Sistam, Gunakarma Vibhagasha, Tasya Kartaram, Vidhi Agartaram. And he's a creator, but he has created, but he has no connection with the creation. Then he says, Namang Karmani Nipenti, Name Karmani. That is it.
Karma Phalesbraha. Itimang jo abhijananti karma bhirna sabadhyate.
So those who are understanding perfectly in this manner, he is also not affected by karma. So understanding Krishna means you are freeing yourself. Vedas, Upanishad also says, if you understand Krishna, you understand everything. So understanding Krishna is most important. And the Kaurava ladies are very, very expert in understanding his tattva, and through his verses, they are glorifying Krishna very appropriately. And the last verse, Yada hi adharmena tamo dhiyo nripa jivanti tatresha hi sattvada khila. Whenever there are kings and administrators living like animals in the lowest mode of existence, the Lord in his transcendental form manifests his supreme power. The truth positive shows special mercy to faithful, performs wonderful activities, and manifests various transcendental forms as is necessary in different creeds and ages. So this cosmic creation is a property of Krishna. Everything belongs to Krishna only. Ishavasham Idam Sarvam. So we can have only what is earmarked for us only. But persons who are adharmigas, these kings, these demoniac queens, they are increasing their military strength. They are increasing their military strength manifolds, and they are trying to control the created world. The reason for this, the Kurukshetra war itself, or appearance of Krishna itself, is that so many kings became very powerful, and they are amassing great weapons and increasing the army size. It's very clearly mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. So many demonic kings, so many kings, they are increasing military strength and the firepower weapons, which is exactly happening in the world today now. Every country is now armed to tooth, having all the modern weapons, and everyone just, the drop of a hat, you can say, immediately some friction is created, like the forest fire, with the friction in the bamboos, the fire starts, and then nobody is able to control it. Here's the situation we are going through here now. See so many wars now, very prominent wars. One special areas always having problem. So that is why, that is because we are gathering very, very dangerous weapons every country, and anything it can happen anytime. But previously, actually, of course, even the time of Krishna also, Kamsa was there, and Ravana was there, and then Hiranyakashipu was there. It happens always. But when the king is very good, like the time of Lord Ramchandra, Parishit Maharaja, Yudhishthira, these kings have the full knowledge and responsibility. They always engage their citizens into activities pertaining to their varnas, keeping them engaged in their varna activities. That kings, such kings are actually representatives of Krishna only. So Krishna is using these kings and administrators to keep this creation intact, maintenance intact. But when the kings don't have proper understanding, they behave like animals for the sake of personal interest and personal sense gratification. It is happening now. So in Bhavishya Purana gives a great account of the miserable state of affairs the world will be passing through in the remaining part of Kali Yuga. So at that times, frequently Lord comes in his transcendental form. And give pleasure to devotees, and then wipes out the demons or rebellious persons, chastise them, and protect the faithful. So then to increase happiness or joy of the devotees, he performs many superhuman acts described by last paragraphs. Krishna lifting Govardhana, Krishna killing so great, big demons. And then his pastimes in Dwaraka, marrying 16,108 queens, having 10 children from each one of them. So the family size is more than 1 lakh, 1,60,000 sons. So the Lord is described as Bhakta Valsala because he is very pleasing. His activities are very pleasing to the devotees, and he is actually Kshatriya, and he is Asamudva. Asamudva means Asama Urdhva. Sama means equal, Urdhva means above. So Asamudva means there is no one equal to Krishna and there is no one higher than Krishna. Krishna is ultimate. So this is another understanding Krishna explained by the Guru Vaishnavis, Maharajas. So we are very fortunate that we are able to read, understand these factualities about Krishna through Srimad Bhagavatam. And let's make best use of it by reading every day. Every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is very beautiful and very full of meanings. So, Nashtaprayesha Buddheshu Nityam Bhagavata Seveya. So, all the Rajogun and Tamogun will be squashed, and Sattvana will only remain in case of devotees. And they will be able to Krishna, they were able to see Krishna on a day-to-day basis in front of them every time. So this should be our goal in life, and for that, it's all pray to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhu, and Krishna to let us please leave. If it pleases them, let we also be elevated to that state. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
वायुपत पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अंतकोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। प्रभुपाद की जय।